Hey, everybody. Welcome to tonight's talk on numerology. As you can see, we're trying to improve on the quality of video and the quality of sound, and we're making all these different improvements. So hoping you're appreciating all the effort that goes into it. Tonight's topic is numerology. So numerology is for some people something new. It's however something that has been existing for a very long time. So I'm gonna try to give you a little bit of a history before we delve into numerology, just to see if this is for you. So numerology is the belief that there is something divine in numbers. There is something, patterns that can be identified, and you can make sense through the value of letters in a word. So your name or the numbers included in your date of birth, or anything relating to you. It can be quite expensive, but we're going to try to keep it simple tonight. So think of it as an introduction to numerology, not the full deal. Numerology is the language of numbers that explains and gives meaning to everything that surrounds us. It can help you understand who you are, your strengths, your talents, your weaknesses, and more. It's not much more different than astrology, in the sense that they're calculating mathematical positions of planets and determining that, depending on which planet is in your present at the time of your birth and where they are in your astrological charts, it means something. And we're going to see that through numerology. It's also a very mathematical science. It started around, I'm sure it started in Atlantis, but Pythagoras was credited with the many mathematical discoveries and scientific discoveries. When he traveled to southern Italy, he founded a school in which initiates were sworn to secrecy, and they live as a community. They even had dietary restriction. Now, Pythagoras is the first one to establish the relationship between numbers and musical notes and planets, and is able to start building equations on mathematical equations that helps us understand to this day mathematical concepts. Now, he believed in the transmigrations of soul, meaning that the soul is immortal, and upon death it would enter a new body. So he, as you can see, didn't quite fit in the Christian way of thinking. Around the time that numerology was excommunicated, Saint Augustine of Hippo, around 354 to 430, wrote, "Numbers are the universal language offered by the deity to humans as confirmation of truth." Now, the deity could be any god of any kind, but he's seeing the link between numbers, sequences, patterns, and God, or superior higher power. The mathematical man was also an Italian. It was Leonardo Fibonacci. Now, a lot of people have heard of his Fibonacci sequence, and he came up with that sequence, interestingly enough, developing the idea of trying to make a pattern for developing rabbits. How fast can rabbits develop? And so, therefore, it's really easy to calculate this sequence because it's always the two numbers added on, the previous number added on. So his theory was you start with a pair of rabbits, and at the end of the month, the pair of rabbits is matured. And the next month, this pair of rabbits is now given birth to another pair of rabbits. And of course, now you have two sets of rabbits. And then the next month, they need a month to mature. So the rabbit that is already mature is producing another set of rabbits, and hence you now have 3 sets of rabbits, and on it goes. The interesting thing is that through his mathematical equation, Fibonacci has been able to reproduce an elliptical that is found in nature everywhere. It could be in shells, it could be in pine cones, it can be found everywhere. This particularly mathematical sequence is called the golden sequence. So through these numbers and these sequence, we're finding that if it's everywhere in nature, hence we're saying there's a link to God and there's a link to message or truth hidden in numbers. And it was in 325 AD that the First Council of Nice decided that numerology. So, I mean, it was around a long time until that council got together and decided that it was a civil violation within the Roman Empire if you put your belief in numerology. And so, therefore, it was then that numerology was assigned to the field of unapproved belief, along with astrology and other forms of what the church entitled divinations or magic. Now, is it divination if it's logical? Is it divination if it's all true modern science? Now, this is a question for you to answer, correct? My thing is, if it's found everywhere and there is certain constant and it's now part of our background in science, then numerology is not so far from all that science. It's part of science. And so in other cultures, because now we know what the Christians think of numerology, the practice with the Jewish tradition of assigning mystical meaning to words based on their numerical value and the connections between the word value is actually a thing. It's called gematria. Now, I'm not Jewish, so don't get me on the pronunciation, but it's a thing. The Jewish tradition, like Kabbalah and other mystery school, will be part of another exploration in our future podcast. But I want to let you know that it was part of the Greek culture, it was part of the Jewish culture, and until 325, it was also part of the Roman Empire or Christian culture. As a matter of fact, the Bible is constantly repeating similar numbers all the time. Number 3 and number 7, for example, they hold very strong meaning in the Bible. If we think of the number 3, and some of you may think, oh, it's all in the Old Testament, it wouldn't be in the New Testament. Well, in the New Testament, Jesus asked God 3 times if he could avoid crucifixion. And then he was crucified at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then it took 3 days to raise from the dead. So we see that the number 3 is being repeated in a very short sequence, trying to display or make us understand the importance of the number. Number 7 is the world was created in 7 days. We also have in the dreams of Joseph the seven fat cows and the 7 years of famine. The number 7 is also very present. God-imposed events is usually followed by the number 8 as a symbol of change. And yet, in numerology, 8 is the symbol of infinity. And was this the symbol of infinity? Now, let me grab a piece of paper here. Symbol of infinity is basically an 8 laying down. So we don't know where it starts and we don't know where it ends, but it keeps going in a perpetual motion of loops. So as you can see, it makes the number 8, but sideways it means infinity. So the symbol of change in number 8 also means for us that change is normal. Change is something that is part of life. Nothing is static. And what the number 8 represents. Now, the most common system being used in numerology today is the Pythagorean system. I'm going to show you an image here. You can see that the letters are followed or have an actual quality numeric value to them. This numeric value is, for those listening, is number 1 for letter A, J, and S. For number 2, the letter B, the letter K, and the letter T. For number 3, it's C, L, and U. Now, it's really easy, if you guys want to take note of this, is you just lined up number 1 through 9 in the first column, and then you start writing the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And when you get to I, you get to number 9, then you start the second column at the top, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, until R, and then you reach number 9 again, and you start the third column, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. So everything that we're going to do tonight is based on this. So hopefully you get a piece of paper with you and a pen, but if not, don't worry about it. You can just try to follow and make some notes, and you can always watch the video after it's been posted and do this on your own time and pause the video while you're doing the exercise with us, because today it's a practice night. So each number has a basic meaning. Number 1 always means a new beginning. But it's also personality-wise a position of assertiveness, leadership. It's someone that is creative, but is very individualistic. So, like I said, he's a leader. He's going to be at the front of the group. He's going to be always wanting to lead. He's always wanting to make the decision. And very independent. And self-awareness, definitely. Now, it's the basic meaning for number 1, meaning that we're interpreting this later on as our personality number, our destiny number, any kind of numbers. Number 1 always has that kind of meaning, just interpreted a little bit, adapting it to the category you're fitting it in. Number 2, again, I'm going to say the letters B, K, and T, is the cooperation, the receptivity, very tactful people. Think of it as number 2 is usually, in order to be 2, you need to have a couple. You have people coming together, right? So it's someone that's very nurturing, very sensitive, great intuition, and they're the best diplomats. So they're very good at diplomacy. Number 3 is, it's a party, right? 3 is a crowd. So it's expression of being sociable, communication, very enthusiastic. There's a lot of joy surrounding that number, a lot of optimism, and as somewhat of spontaneity that comes with it. So that you're looking at tarot, that you're looking at numerology, this is where they're getting the meaning. The numbers in the tarot cards come from the basic meaning of numerology. It doesn't just come out of nowhere. So the letters for number 3 is C, L, U. 4 is a builder. Industrious, very good with their hands. They have patience, and they're very dependable. There's a quality of master builder. So not necessarily someone who will lead people, but definitely a guiding principle behind it. Very organized, very structured. They're the kind of people that are serious, cautious. There's, as much as number 3 is joyous and happy and childlike, number 4 is more of a cautious, serious, down to business kind of person. The letters for number 4 is D, M, V. Now all of my American friends are laughing it out there, right? It's a 444 for the DMV. Now, number 5. Number 5 means a time for change. You're almost halfway in the numeric order, and so it's a time for people being resourceful. They're very adventurous. They're sensual. They're the fun-loving. They can turn on a dime, but they love the adventure. They love moving. They're very talented. Lots of talents in number 5 in communication. And number 5, the letters are E, N, and W. E, N, W. Number 6. Number 6 is the responsible person. It's very loving, very devoted, romantic. Right? So now you're thinking, ooh, I can see already some practicality behind this numerology, because you can do the name of a person, and if they're a 6, you're in for some romance. You're in for, a little bit of dancing, a little bit of flowers, a little bit of chocolate. They're very considerate, extremely understanding. So, and because it's the double of number 3, they show a lot of compassion and nurturing as well. Number 7, the letters for number 7 is G, P, and Y. And number 7 is the reflective person, the more intellectual, usually much more into theory, mystical, psychic, very reserved, very private. A lot of nuns, priests would be number 7. They spend a lot of time in private. They're extremely wise, very intellectual, and quite perceptive. Number 8, the letters for number 8 are H, Q, and Z. So hopefully you're getting all these pens and papers, so you can work with me on this in a minute. Number 8 is the power. There's a lot of power in number 8. You're getting almost to the number 9. So there's a lot of dynamics. There's a lot of wealth, prosperity. This is the money, executive ability, organizing, delegating, very ambitious, lots and lots of organizational skills. So number 4 has it, but uses it to build it, as opposed to number 8 has it, but then the building is built, and now we're going to go in and we're going to do something with inside. You understand that there's a relationship between the numbers that can help you understand this. And then number 9 is the completion, right? It's the end of the cycle. The cycle goes from 1 to 9. It's a place of ideals, compassionate teaching, very romantic as well, and unprejudiced. They've gone through the whole row of 9, and now they've come to a point where they can be in the now, they can be observant, and they're not judgmental, but they're there to show us as teachers, to lead us the way. So I'll give you one guess as to what my number is. Now, those are the basic numbers from 1 to 9, but we also have master numbers. Master numbers are 11, 22, and 33. So whenever you're calculating and doing the math, if you have a number 11, 22, or 33 showing up, you're not going to be reducing that number. I'm going to explain all that later, but the 11, 22, and 33 stay as is. They usually appear for old souls who have acquired quite a bit of spiritual wisdom in their previous lives. And in order to access the energy of that number, the person must first master the previous number that comes with it. So 11 becomes 1 plus 1 equals 2. So you have to master number 2 to then be able to open the door and access the energy of 11. In the same way, for 22, you have to 2 plus 2 equals 4. Master the energy of number 4 in order to then graduate through this door or this escalator and access the energy of the 22. In the same vein, and number 33, it's 3 plus 3 equals 6. So you have to master all of the things that you must learn in number 6 in order to open the door to number 33. Usually, the people who are able to access these higher frequencies, the higher energies, they will be more intuitive, more confident. Obviously, by now they've mastered the basics, so they're more balanced, extremely sensitive. Powerful creators. They can, if you know someone around you And I'm thinking of someone in particular who can say something and actually manifest. I'm sure there's 11, 22, 33 in her numbers. She's incredible, and she can do this. And then she realizes, I still limited myself, and I'm going to remove those limits, and I'm going to just, create more, easier, faster. And this is all possible for people who have these master numbers. Obviously, having these numbers means that you will be having many tests, many trials, and you must live honestly with full integrity, because you're inspiring others, you're transforming lives. And if you're inspiring people to be dishonest, you're misusing that energy, and therefore the energy is cut off anyway. So these people are usually quite wise. As well, although they are good teachers, and they are good mentors, and they are great guides, they are on their own transformation journey. So they're seeking their own spiritual enlightenment. The difference is that they then pass it on. They circulate it around. So you're able to share that with them. These people, pay attention, because if you have an 11, a 22, or a 33 in your numbers, you need regular meditation, exercise, and healthy diet. So that's the first thing that numbers can tell you. Number 11 is the inspirational teacher. It incorporates everything from number 2, right? And now you've opened the door, and you can access the energy of the 11, which is an ability to uplift others and inspire them while you're on your own journey. And so you're using your experience, your trials, and you're making sense of it in the sense that other people can actually relate to it and join you on this journey. It's the most intuitive of all the numbers, charismatic and very sensitive. The number 22, the master builder, is everything that is in number 4, and the gift of vision, this ability to turn dreams into reality. I'm not kidding. They're master manifester, right? So if they can think it, if they can dream it, they make it happen. Now, they're driven to build, to develop, and to create. So they're very active. They're not the pondering type. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of action. They're natural leaders, but they'll be leaders in building, not in so much as in 11 is a leader in teaching, and this one is a leader in creating. And so if you're a 22, if you're a master builder, you have to override your insecurity and your fear of failure. 33, the master healer. Again, interesting number, because that's the astrologist. You don't have to be someone with a degree. You can simply be an artist, and through your art, you're inspiring people, you're helping heal people. You could be a musician. So many musicians out there are creating absolute beauty, and you could be healing people with that, right? Helping people meditate. So there's no limit to the actual possibility of how you can be a master healer. Yes, you could be a doctor. Yes, you could be a psychologist. Yes, you could be a Reiki master. You could be anything, but you will have a tendency to be of service to others, selfless service. And you will you need to do is master your perfectionism. So not let that get in the way, and finding this healthy balance. And I think that's the biggest thing for a lot of the healers out there, finding the balance between giving and receiving. They're very good at giving, but they're really good at listening or receiving, right? They just give until they burn out, and then they don't know what to do. And it is part of the challenge you came here to learn. Now, back to Pythagoras. Pythagoras then, after making those correlations with the notes, the music notes, started making basic correlation between the number and the color, which is very interesting, because if you know anything about chakras, it is why sometimes they aren't given in a certain order, because number 1's color is red. Now, that reminds us of the base chakra. And the Pythagoras had identified that the frequency for this would be ruby garnet, and the note was the middle C. Number 2 is orange, and the frequency stone would be moonstone, and the note is a D. Number 3, the color is yellow, and the stone is topaz, and the note is an E. For those of you who already own my book on the 13 chakras, this information is already all in there. Number 4 is green jade or emerald. Note is F. Number 5 is blue. The stone is turquoise or aquamarine, and the note is G. Number 6 is indigo, and the stone or it could be a pearl or a blue sapphire, and the note is an A. Number 7 is violet. The stone is amethyst or alexandrine, and the note is a B. Now, number 8, which is the higher heart, rose pink, is the rose quartz or the diamond, and the higher note is a high C. Number 9 is gold, which is opal, and the note is an ID. 11, silver white, platinum or mother of pearl, high. 2 is red gold. Now, remember in the chakras, where does red gold would sit? It would sit at your feet. Red gold, a coral, and the high note is IF. And then 33 is sky blue, and the stone would be lapis lazuli with an IG. Now we're going to be using the I can't say it. Pythagora system all night, but I want to let you know that older system before that was the Chaldean system of ancient Babylon. And it was, the reason why I want to bring it up is because in their system, the first name of the person was their social persona and how they presented themselves in public, and the energy that comes with that. And the first name also indicated their obviously personal interests and how. And they identified that the middle name was the soul's energy. And it revealed the truth about your inner soul and the deepest parts of yourselves, your hidden talents, your desires, and what your soul's reaching for. And we're able to do that today with the different numbers we're going to be working with. And the last name was related to the domestic influence from the family. Now, interestingly enough, been doing some work on genealogy for my family in the last 2 days, and last name just started in China. They didn't always existed, and the custom of using middle names and last name came and went until it solidified and became a popular thing. It was actually undignified not to have a middle name or a last name. So with status came the tradition, and it's been installed, and it's now part of our lives. So what can we use all this for? Right? We have all these numbers, all these meanings. I love numerology because it's a great way to help you in the cycles, in your energy cycles. Remember, I always tell you the beginning of the year is a great time to get a tarot reading, to get some guidance for the year. It's also a great time to establish goals, to establish what are you going to do with this new energy you've just received with the new year. And it's because life is patterns. Nature is patterns. If you're doubting that, I mean, we, especially in Canada, we have summer, fall, winter, spring. And then again, it starts, spring, fall, summer, fall, and it follows a certain rhythm. We wake up, we stay awake, we eat, we sleep, and we wake up, until we die. So there's predicting patterns. Some of them are easy to predict. Some of the ones, they're not so obvious to the eye, but they are part of our makeup. So if you can understand that and know what's coming ahead from you, you can better prepare. It just like astrology, it fits you like a glove. So it gives you a very good idea of who you are, what you need to work on, and gives you a better idea of how all this actually works. So I particularly like it to help people understand what kind of career they can get based on their personality, what would work best with what they already know how to do or what they're already good at. So now we're going to explain the actual theory of how this works. The numbers always have to be shrank to a single digit. All right. So for example, if you take the year 2020, you have to separate each of these numbers, 2, 0, 2, 0, and add them together, which makes 2 plus 0, 2, plus 2, 4, plus 0 equals 4. So the year 2020's number is 4. Another example, for 1972, you would say 1 plus 9 plus 7 plus 2, and that would equal a total of 19. That's not a single digit year. So because of that, 19 gets divided again. 1 plus 9 equals 10. 0 being a null value, 10 becomes 1, because 10, 1 plus 0 equals 1. So the year 1972 is a year of 1. And you will do this consistently tonight, always reducing to one digit, unless you end up with the number 11, 22, or 33. Okay? Now, the best way to do the calculation is to prepare and work with a page that has little squares on it, right? So either a page made with little squares, or you can buy like pads that are made with just squares. Or you can, I personally do all mine on Excel. So as you know, it's just a bunch of box because it's all mathematics. But you need to keep track of these totals. So near the end, you'll understand why. So you have to keep lining up things very nicely in order to be able to refer to these numbers back and forth. And so you don't have to recalculate each and every time. So now, let's start with your birthday. That's the easiest. It's the birthday, the day you're born, just like in astrology, has important meaning in numerology. It's the digit of your birthday. I'm born March 5th, so my birthday number is 5. Or the 22, you keep number 11 and 22. Everybody else will be able to be adding these numbers. So, for example, if you're born on the 22nd, it's 2 plus 2, you're 4. Okay? If you're born on the 28th, it's 2 plus 8, 10, you're 1. All right? So we're going to be doing this all night. And so you should know easily what your birthday number is. So again, remember at the beginning, I said it's always going to be the same general meaning of these numbers. So if you're a 1, and if you're born on the 1st or on the 10 or on the 28th, you all shrink down to a 1. You're a dependent, you're achieve-oriented, you're achievement-oriented, you're leaders. If you're born on the 2nd, if you're born on anything that after that will add to making a 2, you're cooperative, subtle, sensitive, diplomatic, again, working, right? You're in a couple, you're trying to make this work. If you're born on the 3rd or any digits adding to a 3, you are cheerful, entertaining, expressive, sociable, right? So again, it's the same thing I've said before. So if you're a 4, you're practical, honest, organized, hardworking. If you're a 5, you're resourceful, adventurous, talented, restless. You like to move. So I said I was born on the 5th. This fits me very well, right? Number 6, responsible, generous, helpful, family. Number 6 should bring loyalty to mind. It should bring bringing people together and keeping them together and looking after these people. A 7, remember the 7 is, I always keep in my mind the priest or the nun. So someone who's more thoughtful, more, I wouldn't say shy, but not necessarily, because a shy person doesn't quite explain the depth of a number 7. A number 7 is sensitive, but they're keeping their thoughts to themselves. They like to be inside, thinking, growing, but they're sharing very little. It's a very hermit kind of person. Number 8, the industrious, the business-like person who likes to control, be in charge, and very confident. And then number 9. Number 9 is the tolerant, forgiving, understanding, very humanistic. Remember, it's the end of the cycle. 9. They've been there, they've done that, they've learned, they don't judge, they're very forgiving. And for those of you born on the 11th, you're highly sensitive and intuitive. You're a deep, caring person, and you enjoy helping others. Remember, that's the master teacher, right? So when they're young and they've not quite mastered this, they easily taken advantage of. However, if you can believe in yourself, you will find that you can achieve amazing things, and there's no limit for you. You can do whatever you're inspired to do. The 22, those of you born in the 22, have the gift of vision. Remember, that's the master builder. So you can turn dreams into reality. You see the bigger picture. You see what's needed, what needs to be changed. You are driven to build. But you have to think that it's not always about building an actual building. It's about building dreams. It's about building concept. It's about building ideas, building teams, building anything. There's recently a movie I was watching on Netflix called The Wishman, and out of this one man came the Children's Wish Foundation. He must have been a 22 because he had this dream, and he could see, and you can see that he didn't build a building, but he had to build what this became, this amazing gift of the last wish to a dying child. So they're very, very logical people, and they're natural leaders. So they will lead you in building these things. But they have to override their insecurity and their fear of failure. Obviously, there's no 33 in the calendar, so the birthday 33 doesn't exist. Now, your life path. Now, this is the one that, I born with it. That's the day you're born, the month you're born, and the year you're born. So that's what you're going to be adding up together. You're going to be adding the month, the day, and the year. Now, remember, every number is separate and added with each other. So, for example, March is number 3. 5th is number 5. 1972 is 1972. And you're going to add all those numbers together. So for me, that makes a 9. That's my life path number. Now, someone born on September 9, 11, 2002 will be a 9 plus 11 plus 4, which will give us 24. And then you do 2 plus 4 equals 6. So this person's life path is a 6. So if and I'm going to bring this up right now. If I can give you this over and over again, but I think that you can actually query on the internet what's the meaning of each number. For the French people out there, there's this book here, the Tout sur la numérologie by Jean-Paul de Kersin. For the English people, an easy, basic book is Numerology by Michelle Buchanan. It's available at Hay House. And then for those of you who would like to really delve deep into numerology, there's Eileen Connelly. So these are the books, some of the books that I've used for today's talks, and they use over the years to do numerology for people. So your life path meaning, again, so this is the last time I'm going to say this. Number 1, it's the independence, achievement, self-reliance, leadership. Number 2, the sensitive, diplomatic, harmony-driven person, lots of tact, cooperation. Number 3, the happy, joyful, creative, sociable. Number 4, the builder, the practical, very, very patient, very honest, extremely organized. Number 5, versatility, resourceful, adventurous. Now remember, my day is a 5, so I am that, but in my personality, but in my life path, I'm a 9, which is about working on forgiveness and higher ideals and teaching. Lots of tolerance and generosity involved. That's my life path. So it's different than my personality. My personality, I like the adventures, I like traveling, I like new things, but I'm supposed to be, I can do that as long as while I'm doing that, I'm also doing the higher ideals and the teaching and working on forgiveness. You understand? There's a difference between the two. And the number 6 is the responsibility, the appreciation, the compassion. So number 6 for me is like a good king, the one who's in charge, the one who's looking after the people below him, making sure everybody is fed, everybody is clothed, everybody has a roof over their head. That's number 6. Number 7 is the remember, that you should have a clue in now. It's the nun or the priest. So your life path would be based on thinking, spirituality, analyzing what you're reading, what your understanding is, and also a lot of inner reflections, a lot of working on yourself. Again, the hermit, if you don't like the nun priest analogy. And number 8 is the executive, right? So the guy's in charge, the person, the woman doing all the industrious ideas, developing, working, organizing all this. There's a lot of money with number 8. So number 8 like to juggle money, work with money, organize money, make money grow. And they'll be the one taking the risks with the money, as opposed to number 6, more of a saver, more of someone who prefers to keep the money in the nest egg all laid out safely somewhere and not take any risks. Your destiny number. Now, you have a life path, but your life path is supposed to guide you to a certain destiny. I've explained destiny and fate before, right? Destiny is you chose to be born. You chose the parents you were born to, and you had lessons, important lessons, and from your life experience that would lead you to an ultimate goal, the destiny. Meaning that you're in charge. Fate is, no matter what you do, you're screwed. Or some people have all the luck, and whatever expression you want to use. That's fate. It means that you have no power over what happens to you. Destiny is a little bit different. You have an end goal that your soul is trying to reach. And to get there, you're having to learn some lessons. You're having to grow, and you have to be tested. But the idea is that eventually you get to this point where you reach your destiny. In order to calculate your destiny number, and this is where I might lose some of you. Okay, you might say, "Oh, there's no way I can keep up with this," because you have to calculate your full original birth name. So some people have a last name now because they're married, or they have a last name now because they were adopted, or they have whatever. They changed their name, they didn't like it. It doesn't matter what your name right now. The destiny number is calculated based on the name you received at birth. So if for some reason you were adopted and your name changed, well, your destiny number has to be calculated on the original name. So for me, my full name is Marie-Louise Sonia Roy. So you have to calculate the Marie together, the Louise together, the Sonia together, and the Roy together. And although no matter which way you'll do it, in the end, you'll get a number. Why are we doing it this way? It's because should Marie or Louise add up to an 11, a 22, or a 33, you will leave that as an 11, 33, or 22. Does it matter? Yes, it matters in the end for when we'll get to the karmic lessons and the karma that we're carrying with us. So that's why we're doing it this way. So remember, I said it's important that you're keeping You're keeping track of everything that you're doing because you're going to be using these numbers later on. So your destiny number again, all of the letters from all your name on your birth certificate and when you were born, the one you were given at birth. Okay. Now, the only eek up is that if you have a Y in your name, and this is where I cannot find a consensus. Some of the tradition is that if it's a Y, it should be calculated as a consonant. Some of the books say if the Y is in between two consonants, it can be considered a vowel. But if, for example, acrylic, right? Acrylic, the Y is between the R and the L, and it's definitely meant as a vowel. So if that's the case in your name, you have a Y, then you would put the Y as a vowel. However, if your name, the Y is followed or preceded by vowels, like year, it's considered a consonant and not a vowel. So it makes things a little complicated because then you have a name like mine, Sonia, and so on one side of that Y, I've got a consonant, and the other side I've got a vowel. And my last name, the name is Roy, so it's intended as a vowel, not a consonant, because it's part of the sound of the vowel makes. So I was forced to do my numerology with both. So considering the Y as a consonant and considering the Y as a vowel. And interestingly enough, I'm a Pisces. And as a Pisces, there's two fishes, right? Meaning that there's an external world and there's a more internal world. And there's very complicated relationship between the two. And there's other signs in the astrological astrology, like the Gemini, who are the twins, right? There's two. So I think that in my case, that I calculated one way or another, both ways represent me. So if you have to deal with the Y, I encourage you to do it first with the Y as a vowel, and then it doesn't change your destiny, your life path number. It doesn't change your destiny number. It doesn't change much. It will just change the next two sections that we're going to be working on. Other than that, all the numbers stay the same, okay? But it might affect you more on a karmic level at the end. So the soul number is, what does your soul want? What does it desire? What is the urge that it's trying to get you to do? So a lot of people come to me and they say, well, I want to know what's my life path. I want to know what I'm supposed to be doing. I feel lost. I don't feel like I'm going anywhere. I don't feel like it's working. Nothing seems to be working. The soul number is a great way to find this calling that you've been looking for. So a lot of you are going, ooh, yay. So this is why, remember when I said put all the numbers and all the letters and add them a certain way? For your soul number, you have to add all the vowels, again, from your birth certificate name. So unless I specify otherwise, it's always going to be from your complete name given to you at birth. If some of you are not sure, go check your passport, go check your birth certificate, but that's the name you're using. Interestingly enough, if your parents were inspired to give you that name, is because mathematically it was logical and it was to provide you with guidance to help you in the now. So adding all the vowels in my name, the total is 65. So the total of 65, 6 plus 5 makes 11. Okay, so then my soul urges or desires me to become the teacher, right? So you see, the numbers don't change meaning. It's always the same meaning. It's always the same thing. You're just applying the meaning of it differently depending on which part of it you're working. So working on your soul number, my soul desires or urges me to become this teacher, the master teacher. Now, moving on. And I see a lot of you are watching. If you have questions, you can type them in. I can actually see, I can see the word on Facebook or YouTube. So if you have any questions, if this is not clear, please use your keyboard. Let me know so I can explain better, or, you know, review something with you guys if it's not clear. Now, the personality number. Your personality number is how others perceive you, meaning that it's not necessarily who you are, but it's who you are projecting on the outside, right? So you could be very outgoing, but in the inside of you, you're feeling very lonely. They don't always necessarily match. But your personality number is going to help you understand how the world sees you. And so then you can always adjust if the world sees you a certain way. And it's interesting because if you change your name, you understand the importance of what the name has in the outside world once you're going outside. In the Native tradition, you didn't really have a name. You had more of a nickname until you had your rite of passage. And then you were given a name. And the name could change, could grow, could expand as your achievement and as your actions grew and changed. So the name was not a static form. It was malleable and it was movable according to what you were doing. So it was more representative of you as a person. But now we're using the number, the personality number, because we're stuck from beginning to end with a particular name. In order to calculate your personality number, this is where you have to add only the consonant, right? So if you remember the page with all the little square, right? You'll put all the letters, a name with an Irish feather, an accent on top of the letter changes the sound, but it doesn't change the value, the numeric value of the actual letters. So you would ignore. This is a great question. O'Connell, right? O'Connell there's a little apostrophe there. The numerology is based on the numerical values of actual letters. So although the sound may change, it's still the O, and the O is word 6. In the same way that, you know, in some names it's the long I and then there's the short I, it's still an I. The pronunciation does not affect the numerology. So all you want to focus on is simply the letters. So you'll take off the hyphens. The only thing the hyphen tells you is if your name is, for example, my name is Marie Louise Sonia. It's not Marie Louise, right? So the hyphen joins that name, and therefore when you're calculating the value, the numeric value of Marie-Louise, the numeric value will change as opposed to the numeric value of Marie and Louise. So the hyphen doesn't have a value either, but it changes the way you calculate your letters in your name, therefore changing your personality numbers or life path numbers. Okay. So now your personality number is the adding all of the consonants in your name. Now, remember what I told you. The people with a Y, in this book, for example, it's Kennelly, and she considers the Y in Kennelly a consonant. I would use it as a vowel because it's at the end of the word followed by a consonant letter. So I encourage you to do the math both ways. It's a little bit more work, but you might get a better picture. So ask yourself, why did someone did not put an I there? Why did they use the Y? I'll name the books at the end again. If you're interested, I will post in the references in the comments as well. But as for the Y, Y letter, there's a specific value to the Y. and you should weigh this value with a consonant and a vowel, because it tells you more about yourself. There's a reason why you have a Y in your name. Makes you different, makes you special, and you have added information available to you as you doing the math both ways. Right. So for me, adding the consonant letters, I total up with a 5. Now, remember, the 5 is the freedom-loving adventurer. So my personality, lucky for me, is aligned with my birthday number. So it means that I'm very consistent in who I am. It's very easy for me to be authentic, because on the outside and on the inside, I'm the same. So if your numbers are not, it means that there's a discordance there. So you have to determine, which one am I? And can I not be more who I am? Why am I hiding behind this personality number? You can make peace and find more balance. And this, we might find, is what you're supposed to learn in your karma balancing numbers. So now, your maturity numbers. Yes, for those of us who are over 45, we have already reached that stage. So interestingly enough, it often lines up with where we are anyway. The maturity number is interesting for someone who's in their 20s and looking for which kind of career they're going to choose, what they're going to do with their life, what kind of partner they're looking for. The maturity number gives you an idea of where their potential, if they reach their full potential, or where their potential should be after 45 years old. So it's adding. So now we're using the numbers we previously calculated. It's adding your life path number, which is your birthday, with your destiny number, which is your full name. Okay, so here it doesn't affect the Y doesn't affect anymore, right? So the numbers are not going to change. So for me, my birthday was a 9, and my name is a 7. And 9 plus 7 equals 16. 16 becomes 1 plus 6. Have to make note of that. You have to write the 16, even though you're good at math and you can do the math in your head, because this is a karmic number. The 16 downloaded to a 7 is a karmic number. The karmic numbers are 13, which becomes a 4, 14, which becomes a 5, 16, which becomes a 7, and 19, which becomes a 1. Now, there's an extraordinary amount of combination that can add the 7. It could be 34. 3 plus 4 equals 7. But if the mathematical numbers are those ones, again, 13 making 4, 14 making 5, 16 making 7, or 19 making 1, then you have to highlight that, because then when we get to the karma lessons, that's the important bit that you want to know about. Now we're going to speak about your current name. This might be, it could be so many things, but let's say, for example, my son's name is Benjamin, but nobody calls him Benjamin. Everybody calls him Ben. So his current name is Ben, not Benjamin. So, and because this is a common thing, and half the people don't even know what his real name is, it helps him be presented a certain way when he says I'm Ben instead of I'm Benjamin. The other way that a name could have changed is if you were adopted. So you were given a name at birth, but during the adoption, they could have changed your first name. They could have changed only your last name. But whatever change happened, it links you to this family. It links you to what's happening in your life. And it has a particular meaning. So it's really, really important that you understand this meaning. Because the meaning goes with the vibration, the sound, right? Those letters put together, they create something, they create an energy. So what you project into the world is different. You know, think of all these actors out there. that have names, and then they choose different names to be actors. They're using these names to have an image, to project something. Like, for example, Madonna is just Madonna. She's none of the other names. She doesn't have a last name. Everybody knows her as Madonna. So her current name would be only calculated as Madonna. But I don't think that I have any A-listers, one-name people in there. So, you would take your common name that you're using every day. Let's say, for example, your name is Alexander, but everybody calls you Alex. You will take Alex, but with the last name that you're currently using. Should you be introducing yourself to, I don't know, during an interview or meeting somebody new or meeting the girlfriend's parents or whatever, you'll say, I'm Alex Winters, right? So some of us have changed their name because of marriage. So again, it would just be the name that you're introducing yourself with. So if you're married to Jacobson, so it becomes Sonia Jacobson, right? So you're only calculating what your everyday use of the name is. Some people have changed their names. For example, I don't know if any of us watching have those names, or listening, but let's say you're under a protection program and you've been given a new name. Well, this is the name you calculate. It helps you understand how you're presenting to the world now with this new identity. So for me, for example, I don't use the Marie or the Louise. I just use Sonia Roy. So because I'm using only that, I can, even though it's my baptismal name, it's the name that I was born with, because I've cut 2 names out, it does change the value of my current name number. So Sonia becomes a 2 and the Roy is a 22. So I will not shrink the 22, right? So it would be 22 plus 2, 24, which makes a 6. But for those of you noticing out there, 2 plus 2 plus 2 also equals 6. So, but the 22 has an extra value to the last name. When I say my name to the world, the energy that's being given, the energy that is carried with, I'm a responsible giver, meaning that I will not give everything, but I will be giver. Within my means, within my ability, I will be giving as much as I can. Now, we get into the karmic lessons number. This is my favorite part. This is, for me, a lot of people come to me and they say, what am I supposed to learn? Why does this keep happening? I don't understand. Why do I have to go through this over and over again? The karmic lesson number is an easy way for you to find the answer to that. Okay? And yeah, so it indicates the weakness you inherited, and what you need to learn and what you need to work on. The karma is so this is really simple. Now, you already have all the letters of your name all lined up, yes, at the top of your page, and you've written all the numbers under each of the letters. Now, observe which number is missing. For example, for all the letters that I have in Marie, Louise, Sonia, Rouen, none of those letters have a value of 2 or 8. So my karmic lesson number is lesson number 2 and lesson number 8. So let's say out of, I'll take a friend, Corinne. Corinne was missing the number 3, 4, and 7. So she has 3 karmic lessons to learn. So make sure that you look at each of the numbers, and the numbers missing are the karmic lesson number that you came here to learn. You do not have that energy, you don't have that frequency in your name, and you must acquire it in this lifetime. Now, obviously, this is where number 1 through 9 refer to the beginning again. Okay, same meaning. But this time, instead of something you have, it's something you don't. So if you have the karmic lesson number 1, it means that you need to have more courage. You need to develop independence. You need to be self-sufficient, and you need to stand up for yourself. So now this may be bringing meaning to what you've been experiencing in your life, what you've been going through. And this you'll say, oh, this is why I repeatedly am put in a position where I have to stand up for myself. I have to be, I have to tell other people to stop stepping on my toes and to respect me. Well, yes, it seems easy for other people to have respect, but it's because we're carrying this lesson inside of us that people know that they can't do what they're doing to you, to us. Number 2, if you're missing number 2, you need to be more cooperative. You need to be more patient, more considerate. You need to be aware of others. You need to be part of a team. You need to harmonize with your environment. So again, you need to become a nurturer. If you're missing number 3 is you need to be more confident, and you need to appreciate your talents and have fun. Have fun. Number 4, that's our organized type, right? So if this is part of your lesson, that means you need to learn to be organized. You need to be more disciplined. You need to be more focused, and respect your commitments. So if you're making a promise that you're going to be somewhere or do something, then you have to honor these things, and it's part of the things you have to learn. So if you're put in the position that you're like, yes, I have trouble with that, I just can't seem to get anything together, this is when you now know where to look for the help. You need to get more organized. You need to learn how to organize yourself. You need to maybe buy an agenda or keep track of things. When my son wasn't so busy, he was laughing at me with my paper agenda. And he was like, I'll do it all on my phone. And then he started to get really, really busy. And he's like, oh my gosh, I can't keep track of things anymore. It's overwhelming. I said, yes, because you can't see it. So you have to find out what works for you, right? And it's part of the lessons. But these are, remember, karmic lessons. They're not just your everyday lessons. So this has been a struggle for you, and this has been difficult, and you've tried for maybe a lifetime or two before. So this will become really, really, really important for you to actually take that into consideration. Yes. Now, if your karmic lesson, if you're missing number 5, you need to be more open, more adaptable, more reactive with the impromptus and opportunities that jump at you. You need to let go of control, right? If you're missing number 6, your karmic lesson is that you need to be more responsible. Now think of the king, right? You need to be more dedicated, more committed to the others, wanting to protect, oversee, organize, and plan. So this might be someone who always needs to be taken care of, but is not seem to think that they have what it takes to take care of someone else. You do. You just need to learn how to do that, right? If you're missing number 7 in your karmic lesson, is that you need to find a deeper meaning in life. You have to learn to trust others and yourself and be open-minded and finding your spiritual path. And you know what's funny, right? I like to do this. Sometimes I'm looking at this and I'm like, I wonder about this person. And just for the fun of it, I'll do their numerology just because I want to see if I'm right and if the numbers are working. And every single time I find myself, going to the numbers going, yeah, they were right. The numbers are right. They was there. So if this is a one time that it's nice that you're doing this for everybody, just you'll gain the confidence that the numbers, there is a pattern, there is a logic, and it's working. So, if you have young adults or teenagers that are trying to figure out their courses that they should pick or which career they should launch into, this is great. It gives them an idea of, okay, this is what you came here to learn. So you need to learn these things. And this is your strength. So how can we play what we came here to learn with the strengths we already have, right? This is the idea of numerology. It's there's a fun part to it. There's a discovery part to it. But then there's some deep advice, deep patterns explained that can make your life so much more easier. If you're missing number 8 is that you must reclaim your personal power and understand money, status, authority, and power. It doesn't mean that you will struggle with this all your life. It just means that until you learn your lesson, the patterns in your life are all going to revolve around this. So once you've learned your lesson, you can't change your name. Well, you could, I guess, but you know, your birth name can't be changed and your birth date can't be changed. And the karmic lesson is the karmic lesson. But it doesn't mean that you have to struggle with it for the rest of your life. It just means that this is something you need to work on. And once you've worked on it and you've mastered it, then you mastered it and you're okay. And if you're missing 9, you need to become more tolerant and understanding, less judgmental, and learn forgiveness and opening yourself, right? It's all part of trust kind of thing. Yes. Be one with the world. Now, we've got 2 things left. I didn't think I was going to last this long, but okay. Karmic debts. All right. So this is different than karmic lesson. You have, if you're on the planet and your soul's inside of a body, you came here to learn something for sure. So there's no doubt about that. And the previous ones are telling you what you came here to learn. Now, these karmic debts are things that you had a chance to learn in the previous life and did not. And now it becomes pressing that you do actually learn what it is. I've done numerology for numerous years now, and I've hardly ever seen people having 2 karmic debts. I think it happened once. But the karmic debt is the numbers I was citing before, right? So 13 making a 4, 14 making a 5, 16 making a 7, and 19 making a 1. So again, when I said you have to lay it all out and you have to leave it all there and all your mapped so that now you can go see your 4, your 5s, your 7, and your 1s and go check, how did you make that total? Did you get, like, I know that one of my total, if it's 58, for example, 58, 5 plus 8 is 13, and then 13 makes 4. So that's a karmic debt. However, if your number is 34, it's 3 plus 4 equals 7. That's not a karmic debt. So how you got to the simplification of these numbers is important. And so you need to verify those. The karmic debts, if you're 13-4, is you will have to master discipline, challenge without cutting corners. You have to be honest. You have to persevere. You have to be patient. So you will be put in situations that are extraordinarily lengthy or difficult, or for your own good. Learn your lesson. You don't carry the karmic debt over and over. It's time for you to clean that slate. So, but for some reason, because it's karmic debt, they're usually harder to learn. So people who struggle less with a karmic lesson and struggle more with a karmic debt because you struggled with it before and you weren't successful with it before. So these are very, very, very important. These are usually the biggest patterns in your life, the things that keep hitting you back in the face, and they keep they keep sending you back, and you're like, why me? Or why does this keep happening? Usually it's the karmic debt explanation. Now, if you're 14-5, 14-5 is you need to display moderation, more balance. You have to stop the overindulgence. So you need to rise above temptations. And those temptations can be sex, it could be drugs, it could be food, it could be anything. You know, gosh, it could be people playing on their phone, right? I mean, some people are strictly addicted to those things, and they're forgetting the whole world exists, right? So you have to ask yourself, what am I doing? Is this good for me? Is this healthy? Or is this preventing me from working? Is this preventing me from being active? Is this preventing me from being social? You need to find this balance. In order to learn this lesson and moving forward, is taking responsibility for your choices. It is your choices. You know, you could say, oh, life was horrible to me. And then you can be honest and say, well, every time I was faced with a choice, I just picked the easy one. Yeah. All right. So the karmic lesson, the karmic debt, sorry, for 16-7 is you need to evaluate your core values. What are you made of? What are you basing your actions on? You have to eliminate anything superficial and that doesn't align with your higher self. And then learn to rise above your ego. Our ego is present in every one of us. No one is particularly gifted with the fact that they don't have one. Your ego is there to protect you, and it was an important part of how you evolve. The problem is that sometimes we're letting our ego take over instead of our soul, and that's when the lesson 16.7 comes into play. You have to let go of your pride and treat others with respect and trust and surrender to the unexpected. You need to be honest and faithful in love. So does that mean that you're necessarily cheating on your spouse? No, but you could be with someone knowing that you don't really love them just because, I don't know, you're lonely and you want to have someone to share your time with. You need to be honest with those feelings and, be clear. I just want to be friends. I like you, but I don't love you. So you have to then do a lot of introspective work and determining, who am I like? What do I have? And so in order to finalize the learning of the karmic debt, you will have to focus on your personal development and rise above those superficial things and gain greater depth. Voila. And finally, 19.1. If you're a 19.1, you need to control everything. You're those control freaks. So you need to let go. And obviously, I realize you all said all at once, it's easier said than done. I understand that. But in a way to do this, to overcome this karmic debt, is you need to accept help. That's your first step of letting go of control. This is you letting someone else do it for you. And be grateful for the way that it's done, even if it's not done the way you would have done it or done to what you consider perfection. And admit the mistakes you made. So you're not perfect, and therefore, maybe it's okay. People will still love you, even though you're not perfect. And listen to others. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to always, say, oh, yes, you're right. No, I'm just saying, learn to listen. Learn to appreciate different perspectives. Learn to see the world from someone else's eyes. All right. So this is a good overview of numerology. If we want tonight, because there's 50 other categories that we could get into that, but then it gets complicated and we're playing with different terminology and different numbers, but those are offered in class. So if you ever want to learn more and greater in depth numerology, you're welcome to come to a class for that. I want to finish on the cycle of years. This is really, really easy to calculate. We're going to the easy math now. The cycle of years is practical to making plans for the year, knowing in which cycle you're in, which kind of energy you're working with, and also long-term planning. Like how would the next few years evolve, and what kind of energy are you going to be possessing? So you have to calculate where you are at. In order to calculate your year, you will take your birthday. So for me, it's the 5th, and your birth month, which for me is March. So the 3 plus this year. So 2020 is a 4. So add in the 5, the 3, and the 4, I get a 12. So is my math correct? 8, 10, 12. Yes. So 1 plus 2 equals 3. And so I presently am in year 3. But this, even though we're in 2020, and even though 2020 is a number 4, it doesn't matter. Depending on how your birthdays go, you'll be all at different places. For example, if you're born on the 22nd, remember you don't reduce the 22 of January. So 22 plus 1, 23 plus 4, 27. 7 plus 2 is a 9. So this person is in a year 9. And someone else born on the 11th of September, well, 11 stays 11. September is 9. So 11 plus 9 is 20 plus 4. 24. 2 plus 4 equals 6. Okay? So the cycle of years, the interpretation is If you're in year 1, this is brand new year for you. This is a time for new initiative. This is a time for new changes, new fresh starts, new direction. And I like to think of it, if you're wondering, oh, I can't remember what she said, think of it as a farmer. This year 1 is when he's deciding what to plant, right? So he's getting ready for all this. In year 2, if you're in year 2, it'll be a time for cooperation and diplomacy and relationships and really working with someone. So it could be a time where you're going to be really, really focus on your marriage or your relationship or a new partnership at work, developing a new team, getting new employees, and growing that team energy. This is when the farmer starts planting. He'll be asking for help. They'll be working together in the fields. The fields need to be planted. Yeah. If you're in year 3, which is the year I'm in right now, it's a year for entertainment. Oh, what do you know? And Sonia's doing podcasts and videos and stuff. And developing self-expression and sociable and fun times. So this is a time for the farmers to get together and celebrate the fact that all the planting has been done on time and is letting the seeds take, but he's a busy guy, right? He's organizing his farm. He's starting to work on the farm. In year 4, year 4 is a year of hard work. It's where you're building your future, where you're being tested, where you might meet some obstacles, but you'll learn to organize around those. This is where the farmer goes out to the field and weeds and waters and makes sure that nothing is eating his crops or his seeds, so that he has a good harvest. So he might be putting the scarecrows or whatever else, right? So he is a busy guy. So if in year 4, know that you will be very busy. But it starts with your birthday. So, for example, for me, my year 3 starts in March. But if you're born in September, your year, whatever it is, won't start until September. Yeah, so you're still working from the previous energy. It works with your birthday, not January 1st. If you're in your year 5, well, it's time for excitement, for fun. It's possible travel, exploring. Now, when I say travel, some people are thinking, oh, well, Mexico or whatever else. But it could be that, you're going to travel to see some family a few hours away. But you'll be spending more time outside the house. And a need for you to feel freedom. So for the farmer, it's him, looking at his land and making sure that the first harvest of the fruits and berries are in, and things are starting to grow, and he's seeing the progress that he's making. Year 5 is an exciting year. It's still busy, but it's exciting. It's fun. Yeah. If you're in a year 6, you're in a year of relationship, of responsibility. You're becoming the king or the queen. Yes. So you're looking after people. You're making sure that everybody is happy, healthy, fed, clothed, warm, taken care of. It's a matter of if you're in a relationship, or if your family gets closer, everything brings closer to home. It's a warmth year, I would say. So you're preparing for the harvest that's coming next year, but now you're enjoying the family time. So it's a nice family year, year 6. If you're in the year 7, it's time to recharge your batteries. You'll be a little tired from all this excitement and all this traveling and all this work that you've been doing. And you're going to do some inner reflection time, a little bit of studying, or, taking a time out and seeing, okay, so I had some fun, I spent time with my family, and now it's time for me, right? So the year 7 is a year for the hermit to come out, the time on your own. And then, because in number 8 is the harvest. 8 is the material prosperity. It's all the money coming in and the karma balance of all your previous efforts in the past 7 years. So if you've done good, you will reap good. If you've done bad, if you've been dishonest, this is when it's going to catch up to you in year 8. So everything is multiplied by what you put out to universe. You remember people say, if you put love, you'll receive it 10 times. If you put hate, you receive 10 times. Well, in year 8, you receive 1,000 times. So it's going to come and hit you really hard. So, hey, if you've been good and you're going to be entering year 8, you just be happy and rejoice. It's going to be a great year for you. And then at year 9, hello, Michael. In year 9, it's a time for ending. It's when the harvest has been taken in, everything has been put away, and the farmer is exhausted, and he goes and takes a rest. It's winter. There's nothing for him to do. And this is the time, if you're in a year 9, for putting everything back in perspective and deciding what works for me, what doesn't work for me, what is it time to let go. And, part of it is a bit of a spring cleaning involved, getting rid of things, donating, selling, giving. This is where friendships might evaporate or pop out. It's a time for endings because year 1's going to come again for new beginnings, right? And so sometimes this is where we need to make the room or the space that we need in order for the new growth to take place, to give room for the next year coming up. So depending on which year you're in, then you know what to expect this year. So I was able to manage to do this presentation in almost my limit time of 90 minutes. Is anybody have any question? Michael, do you have a question? I can see you on there. Or anybody else? I'm pretty good at actually reading the questions while I'm talking. So I'm trying to understand and make sure that everybody understands what I'm talking about. But it looks like everybody is good. So I thank you all for watching and listening. It's always a pleasure to do these. We have another one next week. Next week, we're talking about, let me see. Next week, it's light language. Oh, you're going to love that. I'm going to be toning and making some music with my voice. So again, for those of you who want to know about the book, the French one is Toute la numérologie de Jean-Paul Kersin. And if you want it in English, the easiest basic one is Michelle Buchanan, just entitled Numerology from House. You can get this in on your phone, or it's, you don't need to have a printed copy of that one. Free. Those who go into this and go really, really deep. Again, the Kennelly Book of Numbers by Eileen Kennelly. Okay, Eileen Kennelly, the Kennelly Book of Numbers. But this is way beyond what we've talked today. So if you don't have any more questions, I will let you go. I love you all, and I bless you. It's always a pleasure to do this, and I hope to see you again next Tuesday, live, starting at 6:30 Pacific time. Thank you. Bye-bye.